as a national vulnerability. The president's inspiring debate over capital punishment with his call for the death penalty for convicted murderers in Washington, D.C. Mr. Trump's emphasis on fighting crime gets high marks in a newly released AP North poll. The vast majority of Americans surveyed, 81%, view crime as a major problem in the country's big cities. On Wall Street, the Dow futures 20 points higher. NASDAQ futures are up 18. More details at srnnews.com.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But what if you could get both? Why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied too. And we know this from research of members. There's a lot they like about MediShare, but especially they love being part of something they believe in. And MediShare works too. It has for more than 30 years. There are hundreds of thousands of members who love having telehealth if they need it. They love the huge PPO network. So yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or you're part of the gig economy or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Call 844-45-BIBLE. That's 844-45-BIBLE. 844-45-BIBLE.
Your home for Goodland High School athletics. Fort Hays Tech Northwest Tech Tiger basketball, the Denver Broncos, as well as the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer. You're listening to Goodland's Rocket 102.5, KKCI FM, Goodland Colby, an NWKS radio station.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland and let's get you covered. The Insurance Agency. Insurance the way it should be.
Convenience just got an upgrade. Farmers State Bank of Oakley is excited to announce the opening of our brand new ATM along Highway 40, right next to Sonic Drive-In. Whether you're grabbing a snack or on the go, you can quickly access your cash without the detour. It's banking made easy, right where you need it. Farmers State Bank of Oakley, member FDIC.
Today through Friday will be cloudy with below normal temperatures, highs in the mid-70s to low 80s and lows in the lower 60s. Light rain this morning will be a break in the afternoon. Winds will be out of the south-southeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Showers and a few non-severe storms are expected to be redeveloped this evening and overnight. Lows will be around 60. Tomorrow evening overnight showers will be less organized, but Friday showers and storms are more likely in the evening and overnight hours, and it will remain cloudy with east-southeast winds at 5 to 15 miles per hour. Total rainfall through Friday is expected to be around a quarter of an inch to a half inch north of I-70 and a half inch to an inch and a half to the south. Labor Day weekend through Tuesday, a high-pressure system will begin to rebuild over the Rockies, leading to drier and warmer conditions. High temperatures will be in the mid to upper 80s and lows in the middle 60s. This meteorologist Chris Schromick in the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
This summer, NWKS Radio is bringing the party to you with Rock the Block. You could win the ultimate backyard prize pack, a big dog cooler, lounge chairs, a 4-piece patio set, an $8,000 hot tub from Paradise Spas, plus insulation credit from Lure Electric. We're crashing your neighborhood with giveaways, games, and special surprises all summer long. Enter now at nwksradio.net and let's rock the block. Powered by NWKS Radio and your favorite local sponsors.
Summer's ending, school's here, and Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland has the trucks to keep you moving. The 2025 Sierra 3500 Pro, $1,000 purchase allowance or 3.9% for 48 months. A 3500 Denali, $2,000 purchase allowance or 3.9%. Or Sierra 1500 over a $6,000 purchase allowance or 0% APR for 36 months. Make this school year the smoothest ride yet. Visit Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas, or shop online anytime at hurlchev.com. As kids head back to school, it's the perfect time to get your home and yard ready for fall. At Hooper Lumber Ace Hardware in Colby and Goodland, they've got you covered. From all-season ultimate fertilizer and building materials to cozy patio heaters and furniture. Fire up family meals with a Traeger grill or Blackstone griddle and give your home a new look with Benjamin Moore paints. Whatever your project, big or small, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware is here to help. That's Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby. Your community, your projects, your ace.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland and let's get you covered. The Insurance Agency. Insurance the way it should be.
Need a porta potty or septic pumping in Northwest Kansas? Call Topside Portables and Pumping, your local family-owned crew. They've got clean, reliable toilets for weddings, farms, and job sites, plus full septic services, RV waste, fertilizer tanks, and more. Available 24/7, because when nature calls, they answer. Call 785-728-8089. That's 728-8089. Topside Portables and Pumping. Reliable, local, clean.
We've been serving ag families for generations because we believe farming isn't just a job, it's a legacy. Whether you're just starting out or expanding your operation, F&B Bank has flexible lending solutions designed for you. This is Loan Officer Kennedy Frank at F&B Bank. We're proud to be your hometown ag lender, member FDIC.
You ready? One, two, three, four!
It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
There is a benefit to building a team and keeping it together for the length of time. But that does not happen anymore because of the portal and NIL and money.
The High Plains only local sports talk show.
That broadcast school has really paid off.
Broadcasting live on Rocket 102.5 and streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Who's got it better than that? Nobody!
Covering it all from the preps.
Lego Thorson in the corner for three. Good!
To the pros.
The 1-0 pitch. Fermin drives it into left center field. Game over. Freddie Fermin wins the marathon for the Royals.
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank. Along with the Insurance Agency, the Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work. And Walder with a blast. High and deep to right center field. Back it goes to the wall, and that is gone! Matt Walder puts the Twins on top as he homers for the third straight game. And Brandon slips in, base hit, and the Mets win the ball game! 4 straight hits against the run in the bottom of the ninth. That's a high fly ball, center field. Butler can only watch it fly to the batter's eye. It's a slam for Riley Green.
To Goodman. And that one's hit to left field. And Alvarez looking up, and it is gone. It cleared the Crawford boxes in left field. Hunter Goodman with the home run. His 26th of the year. A 2-run shot. The Rockies have a 4-run third.
And good Wednesday morning, everybody. Welcome inside the Morning Blitz. Broadcast, as always, on Goodland's Rocket 102.5, as well as NWKSradio.net and the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Appreciate you tuning in here on a Wednesday, August the 27th. Another cloudy start to the day. It's starting to feel like we're living in the Northwest of America. Cloudy almost every day. I mean, the sun for a moment, a brief moment, yesterday kind of peaked out from time to time there in the evening time, but the cloudiness, the haziness, whatever you call it, the moisture sky is back with us here again today. Going to be cloudy to partly cloudy. Temperature is going to be a little bit warmer today, 77, although that could feel a little bit cooler due to some wind today. So do be aware of that. But this is, once again, if you're just kind of getting going this week, I mean, it's going to be this kind of the rest of the way. Temperature is really going to stay around the mid 70s until early next week, where we might get a crack into the 80s. But then even after that, you look ahead to start of next week, Labor Day, you've got, the high of 81, and then Tuesday, 79, and then we're going to come back down crashing into the upper 60s for the middle of next week. It could be, I don't know this for a fact, it could be like the coolest kickoff time for a high school football, or coolest kickoff temperature for a high school football game that we've seen in a long time. A week from this coming Friday, it really could be. It's the weather, the temperature has just been almost hard to believe. Although it is beautiful. I don't want to sit here and complain about it. It has been nice. Yesterday we were out in the rolling radio broadcasting at the Main Street Crawl in downtown Goodland, and say the weather was perfect. You couldn't have asked for much better weather that was happening that night for that event, which was great. And thanks to all that put that on. It was fun to be down there and see some of the kids and some of the teachers walking around and taking in part of downtown Goodland. But nonetheless, we got a full show to get to here on a Wednesday. We will get to some news from Colby Community College volleyball, as they have rolled in some weekly honors already after just one weekend. An interesting story and a funny story about, what do college athletes spend their NIL money on? Interesting article got to from The Athletic. We'll get to that in a little bit. Some sad news in Boulder coming up in the walk-off, and kind of also some dumb news as well in Boulder. So kind of sad but dumb at the same time. We'll be visiting with the Hoxie High School head football coach, Lance Barr, a longtime friend of the program, going to join the show and discuss what the Hoxie Indians can do here in 2025 after winning a state title in 2024 on the gridiron. So we'll visit with Lance Barr about that coming up in segment 2. And then we will talk biggest boom or bust players in college football. But we're going to dive into the engagement of all engagements here in segment 1, talking Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce for the first segment for the next 10 minutes or so. I'm kidding. We're not going to get into that. We're not going to discuss that stuff. That's for anybody else to discuss but this program. So congratulations to the happy couple and best wishes on their nuptials there. That's where we'll leave it at that. But the first segment here, wanted to dive into some more college football discussion as we get set for what is going to be a glorious 5 consecutive days of college football starting tomorrow. You've got games Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday. So really looking forward to discussing, to looking at, to watching 5 straight nights of college football. Nebraska will be part of that on Thursday, Kansas on Friday, Kansas and Colorado on Friday. And then you've got K-State on Saturday, and then you've got some really fun games, national games on Sunday, and then you've got TCU and North Carolina, the Bill Belichick Bowl, whatever, to open up his tenure there in Chapel Hill. That's on Monday. So we got a lot of college football, and we will get to a college football Power 5 coming up here later on this week. I think we're going to do that on Friday. I think we'll do the college football Power 5 on Friday, the top 5 games I'll have my eye on this coming weekend. I think we're going to do that because as good as there are some games on Thursday, on Thursday, tomorrow, and Friday, there are some decent games. I think all the good ones are really on Saturday and forward. So I'll double check that, but I think we're going to do that on Friday. But with that being said, everyone continues to kind of roll out all their college football stories leading into this big weekend. And an interesting one that came up from CBS Sports yesterday was the most important or biggest boom or bust players of 2025 in college football. And so they were looking for who are the most important players in 2025 that can have boom or bust teams. And the way I kind of looked at it was, if these guys boom, that means that the team is probably going to have a big time boom. They're going to take off. They're going to go to another level. For some of these teams, that may mean getting to double-digit wins. For some of these teams, that may mean making a conference title run. That may mean making college football playoff. That may mean going to the national title semifinals or finals. That was what is interesting. Now, there are no players on this list from Kansas or Kansas State, but I will get into my thoughts on who the boomer bust players are for those teams in particular. Now, yes, most of these I would say are quarterbacks for the most part. There are a few running backs. The number one player on the list, just in case you're curious, I'm not going to go through all of them, was Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson. But I look at like Ty Simpson's number 1 and Utah quarterback Devin Dampier is number 2. That's the thing. Like, you see a lot of quarterbacks, particularly in the top 10, Dante Moore at Oregon and Nico Amaliviava at UCLA at number 6. You see these quarterbacks come up here in these rankings, usually in the top, I think they count for 5 of the top 10. And I agree with it because, once again, it is the most important position in all of college football. And, in all of sports, honestly. Really, the quarterback position is the most important position in sports. But it is true. Like, these guys, the season, I don't want to say hangs, but the season could be impacted by how good these guys are going to be. And a lot of these guys, once again, a lot of these guys that are boom and bust guys are guys that were not at the previous school. They were not at the school the previous year. They were somewhere else. A lot of them were. Like I said, so like Ty Simpson, he was at Alabama, but he didn't play. But if you think about it, once again, if Ty Simpson has the type of season that quarterbacks that play underneath Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb, their new offensive coordinator, who had been with Kalen DeBoer for many years, and he was a part of the Washington team that led them all the way to that great season a couple of years ago. The quarterbacks that play underneath DeBoer and Grubb usually are very, very good, very great passers. They understand the system. They make great decisions. They're great throwers of the football, all that stuff. And if Ty Simpson can be that guy, we don't know, but if he can be that guy, all of a sudden Alabama goes from being what is a really good team, like they were last year, a 9-10 win team, to being probably a national title team. That's the thing. That's the boom or the bust. So Ty Simpson, he goes from being, once again, if he comes out there and he has the type of season that certain quarterbacks, the Michael Penixes, particularly of Indiana and Washington, when he played for those two schools, when he has that type of season like he did, all of a sudden it puts Alabama in the national championship game, in my opinion. So I think he no doubt is a number one. And the same thing, Devin Dampier could be there too. Once again, if Devin Dampier, who we've talked about a lot on this show at Utah, if he can put up the type of numbers, or even remotely close to the type of numbers that he put up at a lesser league in New Mexico, that is going to be that's going to be unbelievable. I mean, he had 700, almost 1,000 yards rushing, 784, and 11 touchdowns over his final 6 starts last season at New Mexico. He can really run the ball. His passing has got to get better. He only had about a 58% completion percentage and had a touchdown to interception ratio of 1-to-1. So it wasn't great, but his athletic ability really, and if he can once again take the next step, be better while also playing in a better conference with the better pieces around him that he's going to have at Utah and the better resources, could be a really, really good year for Utah. We could see last year, Utah was a massive stinker in the first year in the Big 12. This could be a big bounce back year for Utah if Devin Dampier once again can boom and not be a bust. But and honestly, I could even see them flipping the top two, because Devin Dampier, if he booms, Utah's going to have a really good season. If he busts, Utah probably is fighting for bowl eligibility. Whereas, Alabama, if a bust for them is probably an 8-9 win season. Now, that's really bad in Alabama. Don't get me wrong. That's bad. But if you look at if they boom, though, and he's good, they're a national title contending team. Is what they are. But those two guys, no doubt to me, and like I said, the quarterbacks it doesn't matter. You can put any quarterback in that position, particularly if it's a first-year starter out of school. You're like, well, if this guy is good, if, for example, if Nico Amaliava is as good as he was at Tennessee, even though he's not going to have as good of weapons around him, UCLA is going to be a better team. If Dante Moore, the quarterback at Oregon, has grown and he developed like he was supposed to as a top 10 recruit out of high school, and of course, Oregon's just got bountiful amount of talent around him, that could be a boom. But maybe he's not going to develop into that, and it's a bust year for Oregon. There's all those type of guys. So I was looking into this, and like I said, there's other ones, a lot of quarterbacks, there's some running backs, some wide receivers, there's a few defensive linemen, offensive linemen. It depends on this list. I'm not going to go through it all, but I was starting to think like, okay, if Kansas and Kansas State, Nebraska, Colorado went through here on a boom or bust, I mean, what's going to be the thing that probably pushes them to the boom or bust for these two teams? To me, the easiest one, in my opinion, I mean, you can always point to the quarterbacks. Avery Johnson, to me, is the biggest boomer bust for Kansas State. I mean, if Avery Johnson which I don't know. The first game, it's hard to tell. The weather wasn't great. It was kind of a slogfest. He had some moments that looked good. He had some other moments that he looked like he was the same quarterback that he was last year. I don't know. I didn't get a great feel for that, but I think Avery Johnson is a boomer bust guy. If he can develop some more, become more of that playmaker, particularly more running the football, which I think would be really helpful for Kansas State, that would be a really big one. I didn't think this going into that game on Saturday against Iowa State, but I guess Dylan Edwards is a big boomer bust guy because, man, if they had that much planned for Dylan Edwards and he gets hurt on the first punt return try and can't go and he's out and the offense kind of struggles a little bit because he's not in there, maybe it's him. Maybe he's the biggest boomer bust guy on Kansas State's team. I think the defense for Kansas State all season is going to be there and it's going to be pretty darn solid. I really do think that. But offensively, if they're going to take that next step, if they're going to be that team that now has got their backs against the wall, if they want to make the college football playoff, if they want to maybe even make a Big 12 title game, their backs are already kind of against the wall. Not squarely, but they're kind of against it. And they're going to have to they're going to have to win a lot of games in a row here to kind of get back in that race because of that first game loss. It's just the way it is. It's tough, but it's the truth. So Avery Johnson / Dylan Edwards, I think, are the two boomer bust players. If they have big time seasons for Kansas State, all of a sudden things look great for K-State, and they're probably, vying for a chance to play for a Big 12 title and maybe even getting to the college football playoff. I was thinking about Kansas, and yes, Jalen Daniels is really an obvious answer because if he booms, they probably get into a really good bowl game, I would say. And if he gets hurt, for example, I think they really fall off at this point in time. But it doesn't really count if a guy gets hurt. I think Jalen Daniels, by the way, in the first game looked great. And if he continues that trend, they're going to be in really good shape. But if I had to pick another piece, I would take the Emmanuel, the wide receiver on the outside, Emmanuel Sanders. I would take him. I think if he did okay in the first game. He did okay. I'm not going to say he stood out unbelievably, but if he can have a standout type performance if he can have a standout type performance with his speed, and it looks like they're going to use him in a lot of different ways. Emmanuel Henderson, not Anderson. Emmanuel Henderson. He had 3 receptions for 24 yards. But it looks like, they may use him out of the backfield, come in motion and use him on a run play of something that looks like a run play at some point in time. That would be fine. But I think he's probably the biggest boomer bust guy for Kansas, because if he booms and they have that kind of speed, that downfield threat in the passing game, that's huge. If they can use his speed, trying to get on the edges and type of these long options or reverse plays that we saw with those motions, that could be a huge thing for the Kansas offense. I think he's probably the biggest boomer bust for Kansas, but minus, of course, Jalen Daniels, which I'm just going to assume that he's going to stay healthy and he's going to play to the level like he did on Saturday. He's going to play like that. Well, the next person up, I think, is probably Emmanuel Henderson Jr. With his speed, if they talk, the way we visit with Brian Haney talking about him and other people we visit with is like, well, he's about, as dynamic of an athlete as we've seen at Kansas. Well, if that's the case, if that guy can make the type of plays in the passing game and the rushing game, it's going to be a big boost for Kansas. And maybe you win some of these coin toss games that we talked about last week. Maybe you win a game you're not supposed to because of that type of player, and you have a bit of a boom. And you, instead of going maybe 6 or 7 wins, maybe you get to 8 or 9. You put yourself in a better bowl game if you're Kansas. Maybe even better. Who knows? It's only one game in, and they looked pretty good in game number 1, although it was against Fresno State, which we want to kind of just tamper that back a little bit. Going to Colorado and Nebraska. Colorado. It's probably, they announced yesterday that Caden Slater is going to be the starter for game 1 against Georgia Tech on Friday, the transfer from Liberty. He's probably the biggest boomer bust guy for Colorado. If he comes out and puts up the type of numbers that he did at Liberty, look out, because that Colorado has the weapons on the outside. They have the great wide receiving core. Even though they graduated Jimmy Horn and Travis Hunter, they still have some really good wide receivers. I'm not going to say they're at the same level as the previous years, but they're still pretty darn good, I do believe. But to me, the biggest area where Colorado could make up for maybe what's going to be a little bit of a lack in the rushing attack with the running backs, and maybe a lack of a rushing attack or lack of a throwing attack with maybe a few of the big time plays because they don't have the superstar athletes on the outside, is the quarterback run game. And that's what Caden Slater brings to brings to the offense there. And I not that Julian Lewis can't run, but Slater can. He's a guy who can scoot. I mean, see, he threw for over 6,000 yards and 56 touchdowns in 3 seasons at Liberty. He also ran for 2,000. I mean, if he can run at that, not at that level, at a close to that level, that adds a whole nother dimension to Colorado that they have not had in the Sanders era. If you've got a guy who can throw the ball around, not maybe at the same level as Shadur, but somewhat close, and adding the ability to run the ball and get around guys and make plays with your feet, that makes Colorado a dangerous team. Running quarterbacks make offenses very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. So I think no doubt the starting quarterback that was just announced yesterday, Caden Slater, for Colorado, is the biggest boomer bust guy, because if he comes in and he puts up somewhat similar numbers to what he did at Liberty with Colorado, all of a sudden Colorado goes from being, once again, I think maybe a 6-7 win team to the same thing at Kansas, maybe an 8-9 win team. I really do think that. And I'm so fascinated on Friday to kind of see what Colorado does. Are they going to run the ball a little? Are they going to be a little bit more convicted in running the football? Like we want a little bit more conviction. We need to run that ball more because we don't have the superstar quarterback to throw it around. I'm fascinated to see that. Or is it still a lot of throw it around the yard? I am intrigued to see what Coach Prime has got drawn up for his team. And then for Nebraska, who kicks off the season tomorrow against Cincinnati, I mean, it all hinges on their quarterback too. Dylan Raiola last year had a solid true freshman season. I mean, a kid that just came out of high school. Yes, he was one of the top 5 recruits in the nation, but I think he had a solid year. I think he was number 2 or 3 in the history of the Big Ten for true freshman passing yards and stuff like that. He got off to a hot start, struggled in the middle of the season with interceptions and incompletions, kind of got it going again when Dana Holgorsen took back over. I'm very fascinated to see what a full year of learning a day underneath offensive coordinator Dana Holgorsen does for Dylan Raiola, simplifying the offense a little bit, making some better throw choices for him. If he can do that, he's the biggest boomer bust guy, I think, for Nebraska. No doubt about it. If he goes in there, and Dylan Raiola has the type of season that is a boom season where he goes out and he's, completing over 65% of his passes, and he has 25 to 30 touchdowns, and that's a lot. And maybe the interceptions are down to maybe 7 to 12, somewhere in that range, with 25 to 30. All of a sudden, Nebraska goes from being a middle-of-the-pack Big Ten team to a team vying for a college football playoff spot, which ridiculously, for whatever reason, some national media picked Nebraska to make the CFP. I don't see it. And trust me, I'm a huge fan, but I don't see that happening. I got to see other things before I believe that. But I will believe it more if Dylan Raiola comes out and looks like the 5-star talent that he was out of high school at the collegiate level. That will absolutely boom Nebraska. But if he kind of stays where he was, which wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good, it wasn't great either, Nebraska's going to be once again around the 7-8-9 win mark again this year. So I think that's a humongous thing. I could also put some on the defensive line as a whole for boomer bust, because Nebraska lost so much on the defensive line from last year. And as we all know on this show, mass kicks ass, and games are won in the trenches in football. And if the defensive line, which is going to be undersized but can find ways to shut down opponents' running game and get after the quarterback in the passing game, that really helps out their chances as well. So it would not surprise me one bit if it's Nebraska's defensive line that helps push them over the top too. But I think it all starts with the quarterback. It's the most important position in sports. If you don't have a quarterback, do you really have a good football team? It's kind of the truth. It's kind of the truth. All right, there you go. Biggest boomer bust players in college football. Once again, the 2 biggest ones in the nation, according to CBS Sports, are Utah quarterback Devin Dampier and Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson. But I went through with my thoughts on K-State, Kansas, Colorado, and Nebraska on who their biggest boomer bust players are in 2025. And we'll find out more in a couple days. Nebraska kicks off the season tomorrow night at Arrowhead against Cincinnati. And then, of course, you've got Colorado, Georgia Tech on Friday, and Kansas Wagner on Friday, and then K-State, North Dakota on Saturday. Right, we're right at the bottom of the hour, 7:30 Mountain, 8:30 Central Time here on a Wednesday. Glad you've joined us here on the Morning Blitz. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back. We'll be doing more of our high school football area previews. We'll be discussing it with Hoxie head football coach Lance Barr. Next, you're listening to the Morning Blitz here on a Wednesday.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Are pests making your home or business uncomfortable? Call Pest Away in Goodland, Kansas, serving all of Northwest Kansas. They provide top-notch pest control services to keep your space safe and pest-free. From ants to rodents, termites to spiders, our expert team is here to help with effective, safe, and affordable pest control solutions. Don't wait. Call Pest Away today at 785-728-7166 for fast, reliable service. Your home or business deserves the best protection.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
This is Austin Wright with the Anderson's Trade Group and your morning market update. It is August 27th. September corn futures, 385 3/4. December corn futures, 407 3/4. March 26th corn, 425. September KC wheat, 486 1/2. December KC wheat, 512. March 26th KC wheat, 533. November soybeans, 1048 3/4. January soybeans, 1068 1/2. March 26th soybeans, 1083 1/2. Dow Jones futures are currently down 7 points at 45,482. S&P 500 futures are currently down 2 points at 6,480. NASDAQ futures are currently down 12 points at 23,579. Gold is currently down $1.80 at 3,431. Crude oil is currently up 30 cents at 63.55. For your grain marketing needs or more information on our Freedom Pricing tools, you can reach the Kansas City office, Jared Law, Tyler Ghosh, Tom Saludo at 913-748-3000. In Colorado, John Hankey and John Stiles, 970-744-4484.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
Hey Max, you look sharp in that purple tie. Ready to harness the world as a guide dog?
You bet, Daisy. And your purple service dog vest really pops against your shiny fur.
First day on the job for... What's on your to-do list? Check your mail? Get groceries? How about getting your annual vaccines? We can help you check that off.
You've got this.
Yes, you do. Because we've got you. With local vaccine events and access to transportation, protecting yourself and your loved ones is not a chore anymore.
You've got this.
A message from the Aging and Disability Vaccination Collaborative, powered by U.S. Aging. Funded by the U.S. Administration for Community Living through a grant to U.S. Aging. Learn more at yougotthis.usaging.org.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, and cleaner American fuel. This message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
The only way to start your day.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
With Ross Volkmer and the Morning Blitz.
Don't forget, just a couple days left in Rock the Block, our NWKS Radio Summer Giveaway game. Chance to win so many great things. I mean, whether it's a hot tub from Paradise Spas, $500 credit towards electrical installation from Lore Electric, patio furniture, coffee table from Hoover Lumber, cooler, A 45-quart Big Dog cooler and some folding chairs from Colby and Goodland Automotive. Pit Boss Grill from S&W Supply. I mean, a backyard party Bluetooth speaker from Next Tech Wireless. I mean, so many fun things to be given away with Rock the Block. So make sure you get in to be a part of that. And also mark your calendars for September 6th in St. Francis. They've got the Long Run. Colorado's tribute brand for the Eagles is up there in St. Francis. Again, I've seen it. I've seen it before a few years ago. It's good. They're really good. Really enjoyed going up to that a few years ago and watching the concert in the park there in Saney with the Long Run. They were very, very good. Before we continue on, I got to give a quick shout out to listener Diane. If you're joining us on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream, you'll notice today that there's a bit of a change behind me underneath the Morning Blitz neon sign, and that would be the addition of one very cool uniform. So I've tried to kind of collect some old uniforms from the area ever since I kind of started doing the Morning Blitz, and I've collected some pretty cool ones. But one of the coolest ones I've received to this point comes from Diane. She was an Edson grad, and she reached out to me and had an old Edson Rockets girls basketball uniform. And so you see that purple thing hanging behind me over my, let's see, it'd be my left shoulder here. So very, very cool. Thank you to listener Diane for the great addition to the Morning Blitz, to the Blitz studio. It's very, very cool. Love this. It's a throwback. I'm from 1970s, I would guess. It's got the collar on it. It's got the collar. It's not like the typical basketball uniform. It's the old, looks like a t-shirt with a collar on it. Very cool. Thank you to listener Diane for making that possible. It looks really good hanging up here in the studio. So thanks again to Diane. Okay, let's get into some more high school football. Let's continue to talk some local sports here on the Morning Blitz. So yesterday, because Coach Barr does not have time in the morning to visit with us live. He's a very busy man in the morning, but he has time later on in the day. And so he cleared out 10 to 15 minutes to visit with me yesterday and talk about the high school football season and what could be for the Hawks Indians after capturing a state title just a season ago. Once again, Hoxie High School football coach Lance Barr in his 17th season joining me yesterday. Now coming to you here on the Morning Blitz. We continue our high school football area previews now as we're pleased to be joined on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware hotline this morning by head coach of the Hoxie Indians. That would be Lance Barr. I shouldn't just say Hoxie is the defending state champion Hoxie, and its head coach Lance Barr joins us now. Coach, how does that sound, 9 months after the fact?
Oh, it sounds pretty good. It's always something that you can be proud of, but we're on to a new year, and, we're working every day to, replace those guys that were such a big part of last year's success and those 10 seniors. So, we got some big shoes to fill.
I got to ask a couple more quick questions about that state championship. First and foremost, how cool is it to see that the Hoxie helmet sits at the new booth there in Lawrence at the Kansas football stadium? That's kind of a neat thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is pretty cool. They've been doing that at Arrowhead for a while, and KU with their renovations, they kind of did the same thing there. And just last weekend, I had several Hoxie alumni send me pictures of that, so it's pretty neat.
Yeah, no doubt. Very, very cool. When you look back at that last season and how special it was, I know you probably want to point a lot to that big senior class, and you would know a lot about this having the success that you've had, but can you just kind of expand upon how important it is to be an older team in the game of football in order to have the type of success that you're looking for?
Yeah, I think there's several, things that go into that. And, a big part of it's just their physical maturity. As you get bigger and stronger throughout the years, most of those guys, were in the weight room, since they were freshmen, getting stronger and just getting more body aware, more coordinated, more athletic. So that's a process from your freshman to your senior year, just getting that athleticism, to put it as simply as possible. A lot of times you come in as a freshman, sophomore, you're just kind of learning how your body works and moves, and the simplest things can be pretty difficult when you don't have control of your body yet. So that's a big part of it. And the other big part of it is, the mental side, just understanding the schemes, the concepts, and the in and outs and all the different things that go along with it, the little tags here and there that you just got to know. So, you can be successful running that play, and then just, up front, there's so many things different that can happen. And that just comes with a lot of time, a lot of reps, and a lot of working together. So, those guys, they knew it. And we were able to progress very fast, on installs and things like that. And then, this year it's a little bit different. We got to spend a little bit more time on those things, make sure everybody's at the same rate. So, one person screws up, it can kind of mess the whole thing up. So everybody's got to be on the same page.
We're visiting with Hoxie head football coach Lance Barr. The Indians coming off a state championship a season ago, but lose a big senior class as they get set for the 2025 football season. You mentioned the weight room. How was the participation? What was trying to get accomplished this summer? Also in the weight room, but also, of course, at camps and things like that for Indian football.
Yeah, we turned out this summer. Guys were showing up. We consistently had, right around 20. We're pulling some kids that, aren't football players as well. So we got 17 out on our team. So we had a few extra, kids that are doing other sports wanting to come into the weight. That's always good. You have, pretty decent numbers in the weight room. And then this summer with camps, we only did one camp at Fort Hays. That was pretty early. So, we have a lot of things to figure out, and we definitely didn't get everything figured out at camp. And as I said, we have 6 new freshmen and 1 junior that was a transfer in the middle of the year last year. So, we have 7 guys out of the 17 that haven't been in this system, and some of the terminology and things, it's like a new language to them. So they're trying to figure out meaning to all these words. So to say the least, camp was a little bit rough. We're kind of all over the place, and we've been working through that here these first week and a day, week and a couple days here. So it's definitely looking better and better every day.
Yeah, I love our conversation we've had talking about, you lose those 10 seniors, it means you're going to have a lot of new this season. And so you got a lot of guys. I mean, did some of the guys that are going to be expected to be key time role players this year, did they play some like special teams roles and things? Did they get a taste for the game, or are they kind of, to an extent starting out at varsity football this year?
Yeah, we had really 2 guys that had significant playing time last year. Javon Catchell played mainly on offense, started off and on, and so did Matt Brett. Matt Brett started on defense all year and had a few starts on offense as well. Those are the 2 main ones that had like starting experience. But there's a few others, Chase Meyer, who's come back as a junior, who played all the special teams. Maybe Griffin, he was a freshman last year, played a little bit of special teams, but really, that's Noah Nicholson. He's another one, probably played a little bit of special teams. So if you're talking about 2 guys with, starting offense, defense experience, and maybe another, 2 to 3 guys with some special teams, saw some special teams time on Friday nights.
We're visiting with Lance Barr, head coach of the Hoxie Indians here on the Morning Blitz, joining us on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware hotline. You had mentioned, you continue to talk about the youth of this team and all that. But as a coach, do you kind of go back to the drawing board a little bit? I know you're an offensive guy. Do you kind of go back to the drawing board and say, okay, well, we were a different team than what we were last year. We're going to have to change some things up. We're going to put ourselves in the right position to have success. Do you do anything like that?
Yeah, we're kind of sorting through that right now. As we're getting, the run schemes all shored up and everybody kind of understanding those. And then just trying to figure out kind of where everybody fits, and trying to find our best 8 and what positions those people need to be playing. Once we kind of get there, I mean, we've been tinkering with some stuff with formations and different things that we might like to do that better fit this group. But for sure, yeah, I think when you have this big of a changeover, you kind of have to go back to the drawing board a little bit. But I've been doing this for this is my 17th year. So I've been going back through some of the stuff we had last couple, 2-3 years and pulling some stuff from there, bringing that back. So, a lot of it's the same scheme, same concept type stuff, except it's, different formations and things like that. So it's not going to be a huge deal, to, throw this formation in, which, might change the defensive look a little bit, put our guys in a little bit better positions based on, who we got playing certain positions and things like that. So, we've been tinkering with some stuff, but we're still kind of in that process of installing a lot of stuff. So just getting that stuff in and then seeing kind of where we're at and what we're doing best and taking that and, rolling with it and tinkering with different formations and different looks on the offensive side of things.
Do you feel like the defense is going to have to carry this team through the first part of the season while the offense kind of gets settled in a little bit?
Oh, it's a good call. I think it's going to take a little while, probably on both sides to get settled in. But one thing about it is I know, if we should continually get better throughout the season for sure, just because, we're going to have a lot of inexperience out there. We only have 7, upperclassmen, juniors and seniors, and there's going to be some freshmen that probably end up starting and sophomores. So, as they learn, they're just going to get better. They're going to be able to start playing faster and faster as they have to think less. So, some of that inexperience on the defensive side could bite us. You mess up one assignment on defense, it could turn into 6 points. So, we want to do our best not to shoot ourselves in the foot, I think, early on, to just try to play as disciplined as possible, take care of the ball offensively, and don't give up anything big defensively. Keep everything in front of us and tackle well. But
once again, we're visiting with the head coach of the Hoxie Indians in Lance Barr. What do you think about the schedule this year and how it kind of shapes up?
Yeah, I think it's a tough schedule. I know Osborne right off the bat is they're similar to us in the fact that they lost a lot. That should be a competitive game. They're going to be young. They're going to be a similar team to us, I feel like. And then, I think Ellis and Joaquini's our next one. So I think they're bringing back a lot of great players. I think they're going to be better than they were last year. I think Ellis is also, they're going on the right track. And then you look at the district teams and, you have St. Francis who really returns their whole team. Oberlin returning a lot of great players. Atwood lost some key contributors, but they returned some great players too. So, I think the district, the whole schedule really, it's going to be pretty. You take this district and kind of the Northwest Kansas area for 8-man football, even 11-man football. But I think there's a lot of good football teams out here. So I think down south there's some really great teams, but they're kind of on their own in their district. So it'll be interesting to see how our district plays out. Just because, I know us and Atwood kind of have some big question marks and some big shoes to fill. So it'll definitely be interesting. But I think a lot of our district is going to be reloaded, and they're going to be better than they were last year.
Final question for you, Lance Barr, our guest here on the Morning Blitz. How much peacocking was done, or who did the more peacocking in the Barr household over the summer? You or your wife? You both brought home state championships, one in track, one in football. So who did more peacocking over the summer?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. There really probably wasn't a whole lot going on. We were probably more concerned with, the fall season coming up, both of us coaching football, volleyball now. So spent a lot of time, thinking about that and actually probably getting away from it a little bit too. So
Well, I figured there'd be some proudness, amongst the Barr household with all the success that happened in 24-25. So I figured there had to be some, at least a little bit of side jabs or something about that. That had to be some fun amongst the couple. So
it's pretty neat situation. It's pretty cool that, husband and wife both can win a state championship. But, we had a lot of great kids last year, and hopefully we can take that success and continue.
Absolutely. That's always the goal, right? Hoxie Indian head football coach Lance Barr. Coach, it's always great to catch up. Always great to visit football with you. I look forward to doing it here as the season gets rolling. Wish you the best of luck here in the early portions of it. All right, we'll talk soon.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Once again, that was Hoxie head football coach Lance Barr joining me yesterday on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline. But some great stuff from him, talking about what he expects to see from his Hoxie team. The one thing that I took away, from a conversation from him was he talked about, Hoxie, and he mentioned a little bit of Rollins County. We talked about this on the show, and I think it is the most interesting storyline I'm going to follow here this year is just once again is that senior class, particularly on the boys' side, was so talented across multiple schools. There were so many great athletes in that senior class a season ago across the area, around the area. Who is that? Who are the next great ones coming up? Some of these teams are going to fall back because they had great seasons. They're going to fall back. They graduate a lot. Who's going to step up and take those spots? I think St. Francis is in a spot for that to step up and fill one of those spots, particularly in football. Who's going to do that? It's going to be very interesting to see who the next really good athlete. I think St. Francis and Weston are two of the better teams in our area this year for probably football, but we'll see. You just don't know. And maybe these other teams that are young, maybe they're going to develop really quick and they're going to be good by the time that really matters the most when they get to district play in the postseason. So fascinating storyline to follow. And once again, appreciate Coach Barr for joining me yesterday. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We got breaking news when we get back from this break. You're listening to the Morning Blitz.
Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio is the place to turn to weekdays for the latest agriculture news and markets. Being a member of the National Association of Farm Broadcasters, we take pride in making sure you're informed of the latest news from the world of agriculture. Whether it's local, state, regional, or national, if it affects your farm or ranch, you can count on hearing it here. Daily reports from Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio are made possible by Farmers State Bank, Norder Supply of Scott City, Cornerstone Ag, and Woofter Construction and Irrigation. At Eklund Insurance, they understand your unique needs. Whether you're a farmer protecting your farm and ranch, or you need commercial or personal insurance for your home, health, or auto, the team at Eklund Insurance has you covered. Their consultative approach ensures you get the best advice tailored to your situation. They shop around for the best insurance products, so you don't have to. Eklund Insurance, your trusted partner in comprehensive coverage. Stop by today to talk to one of their agents at 1628 Caldwell Avenue in Goodland.
Grab your clubs and join us for the Goodland Regional Medical Center Foundation Slice of Life Golf Tournament, Saturday, September 20th at Sugar Hills in Goodland. It's a 3-person scramble with a 9 a.m. shotgun start and just $100 per golfer. That includes green fees, lunch, and hors d'oeuvres. Enjoy unlimited mulligans, awesome whole prizes, a margarita tent, and big ticket raffle items, all while supporting GRMC's oncology and specialty care services. Sign up or sponsor now by going to goodlandregional.com. It's the 2025 Goodland Regional Medical Center Foundation Slice of Life Golf Tournament. Golf with purpose.
Craving something delicious? McDonald's has you covered. From hot, fresh breakfast to juicy burgers and crispy fries, there's something for everyone, any time of day. And don't forget to try our classic McCafe coffee or refreshing McFlurry. Visit us in Colby, Goodland, Burlington, and Lamar for fast, friendly service and the flavors you love. Drive through, dine in, or order ahead on the McDonald's app. We'll have it fresh and ready. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
When fraud strikes, every second counts. At FNB Bank, we take your security seriously. Our local team monitors for suspicious activity and responds fast, so small issues don't turn into bigger problems. I'm Jessica Von Little at FNB Bank. We are your first line of defense, protecting you, your money, and your peace of mind. FNB Bank, local, trusted, here for you. Member FDIC.
From the latest scores to the hottest takes,
60% of the time, it works every time.
we're bringing the game to you. You're tuned in to the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Congratulations to Colby Community College's Carlotta Katai and also Amanda Caputi. They were named the Player of the Week in the KJCCC and the Setter of the Week in the conference after their 4-0 sweeping start of the Midland Classic this past weekend. So they'll have a much different test coming up here this weekend as they take on, they'll have Northeastern at the Laramie County Tournament and some other teams as well, but that'll be a top 10 matchup in the country. But good start to the season. I think we'll be seeing that a lot this year, that we'll see those ladies and other girls for Colby racking up some awards, not only in the Jayhawk, but also across the NJCAA. By the way, Katai was 74 kills in the first week, and that now leads all of junior college volleyball. Very impressive. In baseball, real quickly, Rockies into 4-game skid. They beat the Astros yesterday 6-1. An interesting stat, it was the Rockies' first win in Houston since 2018, ending an 11-game drought. They had not won in Houston. Now, once again, I know they're in different divisions, but they had not won in Houston since before COVID, 2018. I mean, that's 7 years ago. God, it's been a long time that they had not won in Houston, an 11-game drought. Royals, by the way, bounced back in really great fashion. They were down 4-0, stormed back in the 8th and 9th, scoring 5 runs to steal a win there against the White Sox to remain in the wild card chase. Still 3.5 games back, though, of Seattle. Catch both those games on AM 790 KHPL, AM 730 KLOA, Royals and Rockies in action tonight. As I mentioned, we got breaking news. This coming from college football insider Pete Thamel, says that Kansas State running back Dylan Edwards will miss the game against North Dakota this week and is expected to be doubtful for the game with Army in week 3 because of that ankle injury he suffered early on in the Iowa State game. Chris Kleiman did say yesterday that the x-rays came back negative, which he viewed as a, quote, positive, which that is true. But he is out for North Dakota, it sounds like, and doubtful for Army. Look, the North Dakota game, okay, that's one thing. I get that. You want to go back. Doubtful for Army just makes that game even more scarier. I'm telling you right now, it's this early part of the season is not going well for Kansas State. And it's funny to watch some of my friends who I follow on social media who are K-State fans and just watch the freak out. I mean, it's understandable. Our good friend Riley Gates from On3 Sports, he goes, this could not be a worse start, the worst 5 days ever for Kansas State. You know, you lose that game to Iowa State, you put yourself behind the 8 ball for goals that you wanted to achieve, and now you're one of your top 2 playmakers, one of your biggest, we talked about earlier in the show, boomer bust players on your roster, Dylan Edwards, and I think a guy they've kind of built the offense around a little bit to get him in space and use his speed as a weapon, not able to play in the first couple games. They'll get past North Dakota. Heck, they'll get past Army. But boy, that Army game, I'm telling you, that is a scary, scary game. Oh, so scary. And if you don't have all your bullets in your gun to take on Army, no pun intended there, but if you don't have all the bullets, that's going to be that game right there I've got circled. That is a game I would be scared of if I am a Kansas State Wildcat. But big news this morning that Dylan Edwards is going to miss the game against North Dakota and doubtful for Army, which is the bigger news in my personal opinion. Very, very big news. Yeah, that's all the time we got. We got to get to the walk-off.
And back lifts his ball high, deep to right. How about a walk-off Grady? Thomas to the 10. Difference going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes swings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
Some sad news in the walk-off here. One of the great traditions in all of college football is the running of Ralphie. Well, Ralphie 6, whose real name is Ember, by the way, but she is being retired, is Ralphie 6. Just doesn't have apparently the drive to want to run anymore. It's just kind of wants to be out in pasture and, getting to that age where we don't want to run anymore. I totally get that, Ember. Totally get that. But that's a sad thing. And so they're not going to have, but the worst part of this is, the worst part of it is that they don't have the replacement ready. What in the world are we doing in Boulder? You can't go out on the football field without Ralphie running. What is that? So here against Georgia Tech, they're not going to have Ralphie lead him out on the field. Boo! Boo! What is this? I would boo the living daylights out of that. Imagine if you're a Georgia Tech fan and you went all the way to Boulder to watch this game and you didn't get to see Ralphie run. Boo! It was one of the coolest things I've gotten to see in my time of watching college football live in person. Going to Boulder and seeing Ralphie run before the game. I'm not even a Buffalo fan, but it was great. It was awesome. Why is the replacement not ready to roll? They need to have two ready to go. You always got to have Ralphie leading the team out. Dumb. Also, don't forget tonight, drink scrimmage in Goodland. Going to get going at around, they've got 5. They're going to have the volleyball kicking off around 4. They've got the hamburger fry membership for the Blackville Booster Club at 5:30. Junior high football at 5:30 as well. High school football starts around 6:15. They got cross country thing running at halftime and announcements for that. So busy night in Goodland as we get going in the fall sports season with the sports drink scrimmage. I'll be there. Hope to see you there. All right, that does it for today's program. Thanks again to Lance Barr, and thanks to you for listening. We'll see you tomorrow here on a Thursday edition of the Morning Blitz.
Classic rock plays here. This is Rocket 102.5 KKCI.